he who thinks he can kill and he who thinks he can be killed are both mistaken. I am time grown old. I am the trickster's hoax. No weapon can pierce the life that is new. No fire can burn it.
In the West, we study the great works of the distant past as a chore more often than we are entertained by them. Homer, Shakespeare seem rarefied, intellectual, elitist. The past is not alive for most of us. We've lost our connection to it, and we feel estranged even in the world of our grandfathers. It is a price we pay for progress, which is essentially the belief in a golden age that lies ahead. At the cutting edge, computers, medicine, the sciences, the past is an embarrassment. We're ashamed of our ignorance, our foolish superstitions. It is the same everywhere, we assume, or it soon will be.
Paul William Roberts, traveller, proliferous author. His best-selling book on India, Empire of the Soul.
During the 19th century, our imperialism was very different from the form it takes today, where multinational corporations and banks work invisibly, and Hollywood does the rest. It's hands-off, though hardly less benign than the old way.
By physically occupying the nations we were plundering, we were at least more direct and honest about our goals for the Third World, but we were also far more brutal. Because we were more visible, we were more vulnerable. But the generations coming afterwards and occupying, living in the lands their forefathers had conquered, at least came to understand, appreciate, and even love those cultures in which they lived. And nowhere was this more true than in India.
Young officers or civil servants arriving for the first time at their new home among the palm fronds and rice fields, or in the heat and dust of a desert cantonment, would commonly be told by some well-meaning old India hand that if they wished to grasp the essence of the place and its people, they should read one book, the Mahabharata, the world's oldest epic by far, and with 90,000 verses, exceeding the Bible and all of Shakespeare's plays bundled together, by far the world's greatest and longest epic poem.
Maha in Sanskrit means great. Bharata is mankind, because we think everyone originally came from India, or India. So Mahabharata is really the great India, or the story of the original man.
Great India, then, tells the story of two sets of cousins, the 5 sons of the dead king Pandu, the Pandavas, and the 100 sons of Pandu's brother, blind king Dhritarashtra, the Kauravas, who become bitter rivals and oppose each other in war for possession of the land. The Kauravas had a grotesque, demonic birth. The Pandavas were instead actually fathered by gods, and are assisted throughout the story by divinities and seers, including Vyasa, author of the poem.
What's your poem about?
It's about you.
Me?
Yes. It's the story of your race. How your ancestors were born, how they grew up, how a vast war arose. It's the poetical history of mankind. If you listen carefully, at the end, you'll be someone else.
Oh, I see. Duryodhana and all his brothers want to kill us.
They grow up together, but from early onwards, the Kauravas behave viciously towards the Pandavas.
As they get to be 18 or 20 years old, the rivalry becomes more and more intense, till it comes to fighting for who is going to win the hand of the beautiful princess Draupadi. And one of the brothers of the Pandava, Arjuna, wins her. But because their mother unknowingly says, share her between the 5 of you, Draupadi becomes the joint wife of all the 5 Pandava.
We will marry her. All 5 of us.
Yes.
In India, we believe that the 5 Pandavas are the 5 senses. And we have a lovely story which says that if the 5 Pandavas are the 5 fingers, the palm is Draupadi, and that is how it becomes a strong fist. But without the palm, the 5 fingers would never be united. In each husband, one sees one quality. The eldest is Yudhishthira. He is the one who is born of righteousness and knowledge. The next is Bhima, the son of the god of wind, supposed to be the strongest in the world. The next is Arjuna, and he's the perfect warrior. The next 2 are twins, Nakula and Sahadeva, the highest forms of knowledge and wisdom. Each one is but a part of a totality. But when they are united, it becomes the complete human nature. And that is how really we think of the Pandava and Draupadi.
The Mahabharata is not just a poem about an epoch, but also from that epoch. Indian scholars date it thousands upon thousands of years before recorded history began, a notion scoffed at by Western academics, who are reluctant to go much further back than 1000 BC, which would conveniently not make the epic older than Homer and Iliad and Odyssey.
Either way, what makes it unique in world literature is that, unlike, say, the Iliad or the Odyssey, it is still enjoyed today by hundreds of millions of people from all walks of life, many of them totally illiterate.
Some will read it, others will see some kind of stage adaptation with songs and traditional dancing, others get to know it from cartoons. Yet by far the largest audience of all watched a recent television series of the story. The whole of India would come to a standstill every Friday evening, and the weekly episode was discussed the next day as keenly as any primetime soap opera.
If we today feel estranged, even from the world of our grandfathers, disconnected from our past, a Hindu from 2000 BC would find much about life in India today perfectly recognizable.
We are brought up with the Mahabharata as our popular heroes and heroines, as popular music, as our bedtime stories, as our parables on morality, on values. The greatest success story of any comic strip is something which is based entirely on the Mahabharata and Ramayana. It's difficult to understand this in the Western context where religion is something you go to church to practice. For us, it's not like that. Children in school, for example, if there is one child who is very strong or very fat, they'll say he's exactly like Bhima. And that is the kind of total livability and contemporariness of the Mahabharata today.
Don't kill me! Yeah!